Some images captured by surveillance cameras are so surprising that they make anyone doubt what they have just seen. These are unexpected, curious, or completely out of the ordinary moments that appear out of nowhere and often get stuck in our minds. And that is exactly what you're going to see here today. So leave your like, click the subscribe button below, and let's go. A former student entered his own school armed in Portland on a morning in May of 2019, and for a few minutes no one understood what was happening. His name was Angel Granados Diaz. He was 19 years old, and he was detained on the same day. Days later, the case took on new dimensions in the Multnomah County Court. In October of that year, Angel pleaded guilty to carrying a loaded firearm in a public place and inside a public building. He had been in custody since the 17th of May. What seemed like a planned attack was treated by the justice system as an attempt to harm himself. The defense made it clear that he did not go to Park Rose High School to hurt other people. According to his own attorney, Angel had been going through a severe period of emotional suffering and had consumed alcohol that morning. His intention was to be found quickly, without his family having to go through something even more difficult at home. Inside the school, Angel was approached and disarmed by the American football coach Keenan Lowe, who hugged him tightly. He never pointed the gun at anyone, and there were no shots fired. In the agreement with the prosecution, Angel received 3 years of probation with the obligation to undergo psychological treatment and treatment for illicit substance use, in addition to 64 hours of community service. He was also prohibited from possessing weapons and from approaching the school. The judge made it clear that this was a mental health crisis, a harsh reminder that sometimes a cry for help comes in the most frightening way possible. A 14-year-old teenager entered a restaurant in Jersey City on an afternoon in May of 2021, holding a newborn baby in her arms. In just a few seconds, she asked a customer for help, handed over the baby, and ran out of the place. Everything was recorded by the cameras of the El Patron restaurant. The person who received the child was Elise Scott, who was having lunch with her boyfriend. Without thinking twice, she took the baby in her arms and realized that something was not right. The child still had part of the umbilical cord and was having difficulty breathing. The police were called immediately. Fortunately, Elise had first aid training. When the officers arrived with oxygen, she helped with the initial care. Shortly after, the baby showed signs of improvement, reacted, moved, and even tried to suck on the oxygen mask, a sign that she was recovering. The young mother was located shortly afterward. According to authorities, both she and the baby were fine. The child was placed for adoption, and for now there were no formal charges against the teenager. The restaurant owner, Frankie Aguilar, said he was relieved that the girl had sought help there because something worse could have happened. Around 10 at night, while a helicopter was helping in the search for a missing person in Durham, England, a green beam began to disturb the crew in the air. Someone was pointing a laser directly at the aircraft. Within moments, the pilots were able to identify the source of the beam, the front yard of a house. The person responsible was Colin Quinn, 44 years old. The action, which he may have treated as a joke, was seen as a real risk to the safety of the police helicopter. Based on the images, a patrol car was sent immediately to the address. When the officers arrived, Quinn tried to explain himself. He said he had been watching television with his wife and son and that he had only gone outside to look at some kids on the street. He also claimed that there was no laser in the house. But the story fell apart when the officers lifted a sofa cushion and found the device hidden there. At that moment, he realized he had no way out. He was arrested and later admitted that he had put the crew in danger. The sentence was straightforward: 4 months in prison and payment of court costs. The sergeant on the case reinforced that this type of behavior disrupts urgent operations and can end in tragedy. In the end, the message was as simple as possible. Pointing a laser at a helicopter is not a joke. It is a direct shortcut to serious trouble. In the middle of an ordinary shift at a grocery store, 2 employees were there, each at their own pace, organizing what needed to be done, when one of them had an idea completely off the script of the day. Out of nowhere, she extended her hand to her coworker and made the most unexpected invitation possible: to dance. The other accepted the invitation, and right there, the two began to dance waltz steps. Nothing rehearsed, nothing planned, just lightness. In a few seconds, they were already laughing together, almost unable to continue dancing because they were laughing so hard. The atmosphere around them changed completely. What had been just another workday turned into a different kind of break in the middle of the routine. A simple, quick gesture that lasted only a few moments, but was enough to break the automatic mode and spread a bit of joy around the place. And sometimes, that is all that is missing in the middle of the rush. A child was walking alone down the street when a dark vehicle began to follow each step from a distance. She then stopped at a small stand to buy an ice cream. A few seconds later, the same vehicle also parked nearby. The driver got out and started watching. The scene already sounded strange. The clerk noticed right away that something was wrong. Instead of speeding things up, she did the opposite. She began to serve the girl with exaggerated slowness, as if deliberately buying time. The man showed impatience, looked several times in the direction of the child, walked back and forth, and pretended to be on the phone. Everything only increased the suspicion. The sale ended, but the woman did not let the girl leave immediately. She started a conversation, asked simple questions, and observed the child's reactions. Little by little, it became clear that she did not know the man waiting outside. The tension grew. The man still tried to get closer one more time. When the girl finally left the counter, the man prepared for the kidnapping, but the clerk acted. She stepped in front of him, prevented any approach, and took the child to a safe place. The man realized he had been exposed, quickly got into the vehicle, and drove away without looking back. Everything was recorded by the security camera at the location. This serves as a warning for parents to never let their children walk alone on the streets. Few imagined that a party that seemed so romantic would end in chaos. What was supposed to be just a thank you dinner became the stage for a tense revelation in front of friends and family. In front of everyone, the groom began to tell how he met his wife, explained that they first saw each other at a gas station, and that the interest grew quickly, to the point that she was already talking about marriage. He said he had followed all the rites of Islamic tradition, with promises, gifts, and commitments before the family. In addition, they faced together a difficult period in which she had leukemia. It seemed like a beautiful love story, but things were about to change. The strain allegedly began because of his heavy work routine. On one of his business trips came the discovery that changed everything. His friends caught another man driving the very car the groom had given her. With him out of town, they decided to confront the situation, and the betrayal was exposed. The lover did not even know she was married. Back at the party, the groom said he had gathered evidence and announced that he no longer wanted the bride or her friend living in his house.
Ich sage euch, ich will euch in meiner Wohnung nicht mehr sehen, hier, und ich will euch bitten, den Saal zu verlassen.
The revelation became a bomb. The atmosphere changed in seconds, and the gathering turned into a serious fight with shouting, arguments, and people trying to separate those involved. What was meant to be a moment of gratitude ended as one of the most explosive breakups ever witnessed by everyone there. An atmosphere of tension took over an office in the back of a well-known bistro in Tatuapé, Sao Paulo, Brazil, when an argument between employers and an employee ended in physical aggression. Well, in the images, the administrative assistant appears seated at the computer, while behind him are one of the restaurant's owners and her attorney. Tempers are already flaring when the woman pulls the chair, pushes the employee against the wall, and holds his arms. The young man manages to free himself, says something to both of them, and returns to the desk. Next, the attorney closes the door, pulls the chair again, shouts, and in an even more serious act, grabs the assistant by the neck. He keeps him immobilized for a few seconds, while the young man barely reacts. When released, the argument continues. The man tears a paper on the desk, throws it at the employee, and still tries to yank the young man out of the chair by force, pulling his arm. At a certain moment, someone appears at the office door. The employee then shows the marks already visible on his neck, and only then leaves the place. Photos taken later revealed other injuries on the victim's body, identified as Vitor. According to Vitor, the conflict began because of an amount taken from the cash register to pay the water supplier. He says he began to be threatened, insulted, and accused of theft. The case went to the police, where he filed a report and underwent a forensic examination. The restaurant belongs to 3 partners involved in a legal dispute, and the defense stated that it will only speak in court. What a situation. During the early morning hours, a security camera recorded a scene that quickly generated fear and curiosity on social media. The images show a small creature slowly walking on 2 legs in the middle of the darkness. The strange silhouette, the cautious movements, and the way it moved led many people to initially believe that it was something out of the ordinary. Despite the initial scare, specialists and more attentive internet users calmly analyzed the details of the recording. The size, the body shape, and especially the way it walked raised a much simpler and also much less frightening suspicion. Everything indicates that the supposed creature is nothing more than a raccoon walking on its hind legs. This behavior, although rarely seen, is possible in certain situations, especially when the animal is curious, trying to reach something, or simply exploring the environment. In the middle of a shift that seemed far too quiet, a flower shop became the stage for an unusual scene that caught the attention of internet users. With no customers for a long time, the owner of the shop and his employee began to joke around to chase away boredom. The atmosphere between the two was light, full of friendship and relaxation, something that was already part of their routine. At a certain point in the joking, the owner had an idea that no one expected. He opened the shop's freezer and, laughing, put the employee inside for a few moments, all as part of the fun. He even gave a few taps on top just to make it more comical. The scene, completely out of the ordinary, was recorded by the flower shop's security cameras. At no point was there any aggression, but rather an atmosphere of joking and trust between the two. A theft recorded by security cameras drew attention for the coldness and simplicity of the act. The case happened in a store located in the Campinas sector in Goiânia, Brazil, and shows a woman acting with extreme naturalness while committing the crime. And in the images, the suspect enters the establishment like any other customer. She walks through the aisles, observes the products on the shelves, and at a certain moment picks up one of the boxes on display. Without showing nervousness, she quickly looks around and then hides the product under her dress, using her own skirt to disguise the bulk. What most impresses those who watch the video is the calmness with which the woman continues walking after hiding the object. Shortly afterwards, she leaves the store walking normally, as if nothing had happened. No employee notices the action in real time, and the theft was only discovered after analyzing the security footage. The civil police have already accessed the images and reported that the case will be investigated. So far, the woman has not yet been identified or located. There are things we see that are hard to believe. During the owner's absence, a security camera revealed a scene that was both funny and revealing about Dog's cleverness. The protagonist of the story is a beagle who lives with Javier Martinez and knows the house rules very well, especially the rule about not getting on the couch. The video posted on social media shows that while the owner is away, the pet's behavior changes completely. As soon as he is alone, the dog climbs onto the couch, settles in calmly, and enjoys the forbidden comfort, apparently without any guilt. But everything starts to change the moment he hears the sound of the key in the door. In a quick and almost theatrical reaction, the beagle jumps off the couch, runs to his own bed, and lies down as if he had always been there. He even completes the scene with a yawn, trying to give the impression of total innocence. The recording amused thousands of people and quickly spread. The owner, far from scolding him, decided to share the situation with good humor, calling the dog the biggest shameless character of all time. Internet users were delighted by the award-worthy performance of the pet and highlighted the animal's intelligence, as well as the affectionate relationship between owner and dog. In the end, the video became yet another proof of how dogs can be mischievous, clever, and absolutely irresistible. An unusual scene of pure revenge and lack of patience was recorded in a busy parking lot. A car was slowly leaving a space when a yellow Jeep was already positioning itself to park next. Everything indicated that the space would be occupied without any problem, but the situation changed in a matter of seconds. While the Jeep driver waited for the other vehicle to fully leave, a third car suddenly appeared, sped up, and simply pulled into the space before him. The maneuver was so direct that it left no room for doubt. The space had been taken in a clearly intentional way. The reaction of the Jeep driver was immediate and explosive. Visibly irritated, he got out of the vehicle, grabbed a rope, and tied it to the car that had stolen the space. He then got back into the Jeep, accelerated, and began to pull the vehicle by force, dragging it out of the spot. Right after that, he was finally able to park his car. Despite the tense scene, fortunately, the driver's act did not result in any fight or greater confrontation. A quick and precise gesture by a military police officer saved the life of a baby just 37 days old in the city of Serra in Espírito Santo, Brazil. The incident began when the child, while feeding, ended up choking on breast milk, turning purple and unable to breathe. In panic, the baby's mother and aunt ran to a military police base seeking help. At the location, Sergeant Azevedo immediately took control of the situation. With calm and experience, he performed choking relief maneuvers, applying gentle back blows to the baby in the correct measure. Thanks to the officer's quick action, the child returned to breathing normally just a few seconds later. After the scare, the sergeant instructed the family to take the baby to a nearby maternity hospital for evaluation and observation. At the health unit, the child remained under medical care for about 20 minutes and, fortunately, was released without any complications. Sergeant Azevedo's action was praised by internet users and specialists, who highlighted the officer's efficiency and calm in the face of a critical moment. It is also very important to study how to act in choking situations, especially for mothers and other people who deal with babies daily, so that tragedies can be avoided. Do not forget to subscribe to watch more videos like this.